I told him that two things. I told him, one, my wife didn't like the idea of cutting down a tree once we saw how big it was in our yard. The second thing I told him was it was unusable.
Why?
Because I found out that he improperly rebuilt it.
This is the plaintiff, John. He says he sold a ham radio antenna to the defendant, an amateur ham operator, and the guy won't pay him. The guy also dropped the thing off on his property and ruined it. And he's here in the name of what's right and just, suing for the $2,384.85 he is owed. This is the defendant, Bill. He says the antenna in question is a rebuilt antenna. He was never told it wasn't new, and the thing was useless to him. The plaintiff is the one who cheated him, and he owes this hack nothing. He's accused of hamming it up. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $3,318.08, the amount he's now out.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right. Mr. John, you're suing Mr. Bill for $2,384 that you say you're out as a result of a sale of an antenna for $1,715 that he didn't pay for. And you have a counterclaim against him for your time and punitive damages for harassment. Let me hear from you first, Mr. John. What was it that you sold to him, and how is it that the two of you came in contact?
This is an amateur radio antenna. It's commercially manufactured, and I had in possession of this new antenna. And
when you say new, how old was the antenna?
It was new. All the components that were damaged by the defendant are new.
Okay, well, don't get ahead of yourself. I want to know what it is you sold him first. So first tell me, when you say it was new, how much did this antenna cost you?
The antenna cost me over $3,000.
Okay, and how long did you have it in your possession?
Not even 6 months.
So why on earth would you sell it for 17 whatever if you paid almost double that?
Because I had a larger antenna and I wanted to get rid of it.
Show me the evidence of when that antenna was purchased by you.
I don't have the original receipt when the antenna was purchased by
If it's new, if it's only 6 months old, why don't you have the original receipt?
The answer is because I paid $3,000 cash. And
to who?
Was bought from an individual. To an individual at an amateur radio flea market. And it was new in the box, never taken out until it was presented to the defendant.
So are you trying to say that person doesn't give receipts?
Well, it was at a flea market. You don't get receipts.
So then how do you know it was new?
Because it was new in the box. I inspected it. And I've got the hardware right here that I could show you.
Why do you have the hardware?
It's because it's brand new. You know, because you can see the
I thought you sold it to the defendant, so wouldn't that hardware have gone with him?
Yeah, the hardware went with him, but he returned it.
Okay. All right. So tell me what happens. The defendant comes to your house along with another individual. The other individual bought something and that sale went fine. And then this gentleman then sees this antenna and wants it, and you give it to him without him paying anything, or he pays you with, tell me how it went down.
No, his partner vouched for him that he was good for taking a check for the $1,715.
So he gave you a check for $1,715?
Correct.
And then what happens?
He took the antenna home, and a day or two later, I hear back that he cannot use the antenna and that he was going to return it. And
what reason did he give you for not being able to use it and wanting to return it?
Well, his wife wouldn't let him trim a tree.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Bill, let me ask you, what was the reason you gave him for not being able to use the antenna?
I told him that two things. I told him, one, my wife didn't like the idea of cutting down a tree once we saw how big it was in our yard. The second thing I told him was it was unusable. Why? Because I found out that he improperly rebuilt it. I had purchased the antenna on January 3rd, and the mention was made, and it was an old antenna. You could tell from looking at the fiberglass covers that had been in the air many years. And no mention was made that antenna was not returnable. I wouldn't take the thing. It's very
well, this is a private, wait, hold on one second. You're buying, when you say it's not returnable, he's not Macy's, he's a private individual selling you something that you believed was new or used at the time that you bought it.
I believe it was used. He told me it was rebuilt and he put all new parts in it.
He told you he put all new parts in it?
In the moving stuff on top of the antenna, correct.
In the what stuff on top of the antenna?
Okay, the antenna has a bunch of moving parts on top of the antenna up 60 feet in the air. And if those become wet and waterlogged and damaged, they're totally useless. So what I determined from talking to local professionals was that was not properly rebuilt. He put some kind of goop on the antenna, and that goop is not an authorized repair per my local RV dealer who deals with fiberglass stuff in the air all the time.
But you got all that evidence way after your wife said you're not cutting down the tree. Like, in other words, you wanted to return it before you got that evidence. And let me ask you, Mr. John, according to you, all he said was, my wife won't allow me to take down the tree, correct?
Correct.
When was the first time that you heard him say, oh, you've rebuilt this incorrectly?
Never.
Okay, so you're hearing that for the first time here?
Absolutely.
Did you ever rebuild anything on this antenna?
No.
Okay, now, according to your evidence, Mr. Bill, who is the gentleman who you had put this together for court? He works, what is his job at the RV place?
Okay, so there are two persons I contacted, Your Honor. The first person was the service manager at the RV facility who first told me that goop on the antenna was
Can
not
I have
usable.
a picture of the goop?
Antenna.
I'm having trouble finding a picture of the goop. I find all kinds of
I
pictures.
do not have a picture of the goop.
Where did all these other pictures come from? What's this picture that I'm looking at right here?
That's his picture of the device showing the different pieces.
Okay, well, show me what I'm supposed to see. Where's the goop?
Motor housing.
Where is the goop?
I
want to see the goop. Point out the goop to me. I'm not seeing goop.
I do not have a picture of that goop. I only have a witness opinion of Dan sitting next to me that can testify he saw it.
Yeah, go ahead. And who's Dan, though? Is Dan the person who put this? Is Dan the expert?
Dan is the person who drove me down in the truck and brought me back.
Okay, so he's the one who had a successful sale with the plaintiff.
Yes.
Okay, I want to talk to Dan. Put Dan on.
Okay. This is Dan.
Okay, Dan. So you were there the day of the original sale in this case, right?
Yes.
All right. Was this being sold to him as new or as used and worked on by the plaintiff?
As used.
As used and worked on. Okay.
Yes.
And did he say where it had been used?
I did not engage in that conversation, but I looked at the box and saw that it was covered with some kind of an RTV. And
what's an RTV?
Goop.
So the box had sealant? The box had goop?
The motor, the part that you just saw.
So you guys could see that from the beginning?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Bill, according to your friend Dan, it was obvious that there was goop on the box and that you could see it. So when this side says it's brand new, I expect that side to say, yeah, he told me it was brand new, but it wasn't. But you're telling me he told you it was used. You're telling me he told you it was worked on. So clearly he didn't lie about it being new to you, because even you don't say that. And then you're telling me, and your friend is telling me that you could tell that it had been worked on, and it had been worked on with goop. So
as soon as he knew what he was.
Those are you problems. They're not John problems. But now, John, he texts you and he says, couldn't get you on phone, so I need to bring back the antenna. Glad you said you had other buyers. We looked at together today, wife and I, measured. The tree will have to be removed that I thought I could trim, and the wife does not agree to that. So my funding, of course, is frozen. I would like to drive the antenna back down, leaving now, so you can get it moved to the other guy. Where's all the part about this is damaged, this won't work?
Right, so.
Remember how you told me you had two, you told him from the beginning there were two reasons, but you didn't tell him from the beginning there were two reasons. That's not true. He says, are you kidding or what, Bill? Other guys are gone now. They moved on to other deals. They were probably never other guys. You can pay me when your funds are unfrozen. This deal is done, Bill, and I have no other buyers. Short answer is no, I'm not paying. I cannot use it, and you did not specify no returns. Well, as it turns out, that's not really a legal leg for you to stand on because he doesn't have to specify no returns. The default position of any used item that you purchase person to person like that is always going to be no returns. It's always going to be buyer beware. It's always going to be the default position is as is, even if there is no language saying as is. Stop payment is sure, and I'll do that if I have to. The account has NSF, non-sufficient funds, so it cannot go through anyway. I would like you to have the merchandise back inside your fence as a gentleman with my check returned. Please advise how I can do that. And the fun and games continue from there. So now you end up driving back and depositing the antenna in his yard. Tell me about that, Mr. Bill.
Actually, he would not talk to me about it. He called Dan and told Dan that we could bring it back and arrive at a certain time on about noonish on January 5th. So we did that.
I'd like to speak to Dan. Hi, Dan. Tell me what John and you arranged about the delivering of the antenna.
John said to me, he says, "You're the only reason I'm letting Bill return this antenna."
Okay. And then, but see, John never really allowed him to return the antenna. He always wanted to get paid at a minimum a restocking fee, correct, John?
Yes.
What happened with the police? You called the police when?
Okay, probably a day after. I actually contacted the county attorney office about the check being NSF. And I wanted originally a restock fee after the antenna was suspected for electrical damage. And that's what I determined later that it was damaged.
Okay, so according to you, this comes back and it's damaged.
Correct. Apparently, internally, as you can see inside of this is a motor housing with a motor and tape. And when I took the covers off for inspection after it was returned, that's the picture you see in evidence of showing all that mess in the barrel.
Hold on one second. Hold on. Let me see that. Okay. What is this?
There you go.
What is that?
That is the internals of each of these housings. There are 3 of these for this antenna. In one of the other pictures, you'll see what it's supposed to look like, all reeled up, nice and neat. Yeah. So the other picture is the new picture, how it looked. And then when I got it back, it looked like what it was in the trash. Plus the motor, which you cannot see, was shorted out because it was connected incorrectly.
So according to you, that antenna was connected?
Correct. It was tested out with the controller, and this is what the controller looks like. So it's all electronics. If you don't wire that properly, it will short the motors out.
Show me evidence that you have said that before today. You're saying it got returned that way, so I presume that there is an immediate text or an immediate email to Bill saying, what did you guys do? You shorted this. It's worthless. And I now, because your position is you had to spend $2,000 for an item that you sold for $1,700.
No, there wasn't any need for it because he presented the NSF check, and I did not have
No, I'll be the judge of whether there's a need for it. You're suing for $2,000 because according to you, you had to replace all those. So, yeah, I find there's a need for me to make sure that's true. So don't tell me there's not a need for it, because if I don't see it, I start to think that maybe this is made up. So is there an email or a text where you immediately say, blah, blah, blah?
No, what I was stating was there wasn't a need for me to send him something as he did not pay for it.
Okay.
So all I was pursuing.
So did you or did? So the answer is no. You didn't say to Dan. You never called Dan. Dan.
No, I didn't call Dan.
Give me Dan back.
Anymore.
Can I have Dan back? Switch Dan back. Dan, did you ever hear from John again after the return?
No, ma'am. I did not hear, but...
How about later on? Did you ever hear anything about it being damaged?
No.
How about you, Bill? Did you ever set the thing up or put it in or at your house?
No, ma'am. I never touched a single cable or anything.
Okay, gentlemen, here's what's going to happen. I advise you, Bill, to be more careful when you're buying something from a private party, because whether or not you have paperwork and whether or not the person specifies it, it is a buyer beware situation. It is by default under operation of law an as-is sale. So normally, in a case like this, I would say you're going to have to pay the $17.15, and you would still have the thing in your possession. But you don't have the thing in your possession. You sent it back. Now, I don't reward people for dumping, stuff on someone's front lawn. So that would be something a judge would take into consideration. In this case, it wasn't dumped. It was actually returned, because everybody's trying to mitigate their losses here. I mean, John still maintains that you're supposed to pay for it. But then what happens is I can't even tell you, give him back his antenna, John, because you have now worked on the antenna according to you. According to you, you have put an additional $2,000 something into it, and that's what you're suing him for. So you've morphed the antenna into something that I can't just say, give him back the antenna. And so you've changed the item. So I can't order him to take it from me. That was a risky thing if I believed it had happened, which I got to be honest with you. I'm not sure that I do, because you don't react like a man who that happened to. The irony is that I kind of believe that maybe that 2,000 something didn't actually happen. But because you say it happened, there's a consequence to that. You have morphed the original item and you can't give it to him for me to order him to pay you. So where are we? I know there's a $12 return check fee. I know you had been originally with the police and the Attorney General demanding a restocking fee. I don't think that's unreasonable of you to request that. On your counterclaim, you're charging for mileage. Whose fault is that? You decided to drive somewhere and buy something. He's not going to pay you for that. You want to sue for $500 in attorney's fees. That's not compensable here. And you want to charge punitive damages for harassment for 6 months because a sale that you impulsively entered into didn't work out so well. What's the harassment? That he wanted to get paid? On your counterclaim against him, 0. On his claim against you, $355. Verdict for the plaintiff for a restocking fee.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So the plaintiff in this case only gets $355 back from the defendant. John prevails here. Bill, with his countersuit of $3,300, gets nothing. What do you think?
Well, I would have thought that it should have been returned, but the judge is the judge.
Absolutely, the judge is the judge, and unfortunately, you can't recover that money. I'm sorry. This became a very complex deal, I know. John, let me ask you how you feel about this. You're only getting $355 back. You wanted $2,300, but what are you thinking right now?
Well, I don't really look at it that I was only getting that amount back, the restocking fee. What I wanted the judge to understand was there's a lot of complexity to the antenna.
All right. Well, listen, congratulations. You get $355 for your efforts.
Well, Doug, look, we should talk about for a second what an as-is sale means. And it means that when you buy something, you're stuck no matter what it is. And no matter how the defects impair your ability to use the product, unless there's proof of fraud. And to get fraud, you have to prove there is an omission of a material fact. It's just not the case here. But when you buy as is, you truly take your chances.
Marilyn, after having 3 kids, who chickened out and didn't want to try just one more time for a boy?
Probably like most people, all you ask for is a healthy child, of course. But
Amen.
After I had the first girl, I really was worried I was never going to have a girl.
Right.
I really wanted a girl. So after the first girl, you sit around and you're like, oh, I hope the next one's a boy. I hope my second and third child aren't watching right now. You hope the second one's a boy, and then it's another girl. Then you hope the third one's a boy, and then that one's another girl. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. I love having 3 girls at home. They're the best friends, cradle to grave. They're so close because it's just different.
They are close.
They're very. You and your brothers are very close for guys who live in different states.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up among the youngest of 3 brothers, so yeah, we're still very close.
You clearly did not know what to do with girls.
I still don't. So,
I would have had a 4th.
But you also, you had some difficulties. You had a miscarriage before
I had 2
the
miscarriages.
first, and then a miscarriage after the third, or after the second. I can't remember now.
After the second, before the third.
So those are hard things to go through. And I mean, altogether, you had 5 pregnancies.
Right.
And but if you had it to do over, would you add one more? Or
I would.
two more?
I would. I sometimes feel like the first two were so close in age that the little one deserved a playmate. Now it's all evened out and they're all women.
That dissipates as they get older.
That disappeared. But I kind of wish I had a fourth just for.
I kind of agree. Look, kids are like friends. You can't have too many, right?
No.
Well, look, my mom came from a family of 11 brothers and sisters, so maybe you can have too many.
This is the plaintiff, Kimmy Mickens. She says the defendant is her younger sister, who she's always helping out, and she needs to take some responsibility for damaging her truck. Sister or no sister, she's owed $1,108.96 for scratched tires and a broken CD player. And she's suing for it here today. This is the defendant, Frances Mickens. She says she can't believe her own sister's suing her more than 2 years after she borrowed her truck one day. She didn't scuff any tires, she didn't break any CD player, and has no idea why her sister is trying to turn on her like this. She's accused of dissing a sibling.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Kimmy Mickens, you are suing your sister, Frances Mickens, for $1,108 in damages you say she did to your car 2 years ago when you loaned it to her. Tell me what happened.
Yes. Well, I received a call, I think it's in the middle of June, where she said she need my help in moving. So I decided to help her. But she had so much stuff, I decided to lend her my truck. So because I wasn't going to be there all the time to help her move. Because she has a brand new car, but her car is too small for her to load all that stuff in there. Okay, during the time, I think about the end of August, she was finished. She came inside my house and told me that her ex-boyfriend put a CD in my CD player and it got stuck. So she said she's offered to help to get it fixed, but I had things to do. So she said she'd give me to the end of November of 2020. So I came to her at November the 25th, 2020 to say I'm ready for my CD to be fixed in my truck. But then the pandemic came, I couldn't get no answer.
Okay.
And couldn't get no answer to take her to court. After she said...
When you say you couldn't get an answer, aren't you guys living in the same house?
We wasn't living in the same house at the time, no.
But you're living in the same house now?
She's in my house now, yes.
When you say your house, is it your house or is it your parents' house?
No, me and my mother house together.
And both of you own the house?
Me and my mother, yes.
So why is your mother is insisting that she can stay there?
Well, when she was moving, I came to her and told my sister that she could stay there for 6 months without any rent until she saved up to move.
And how long has it been?
But she never did. It's been a year since she's been here now, going on 2 years.
Okay,
almost.
well, obviously you two don't get along because you're sitting here suing her. So how are you going to get her out of your house? Is she paying rent?
She decided to give my mother the rent money instead of me.
So she has always been paying rent?
No, not always.
Your mom wants her to stay, though?
Yes, my mom.
I got it. Okay, well, that's the answer. Your mom owns half that, and your mom wants her to stay. That's her daughter. All right, so I understand now. So are you two not getting along?
No, I don't have nothing to say to her.
You don't even talk to each other?
No.
All right, how did the CD break, Ms. Frances Mickens?
On August 31st, 2019.
2019, not 2020?
Yes.
Ms. Kimmy, is it correct that it was 2019?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, so go ahead.
We were at the storage place. She allowed me to use one of her trucks, which was the 2004 Ford Explorer, while she drove the other one. So she followed me to the storage place, and we were putting up the items. So I received a phone call from my ex, and he asked me, what were we doing? He asked, do you need any help? He doesn't get off till 3 o'clock p.m.
Okay, you don't have to give me every little detail. What happens to the CD? Go ahead.
So he puts the CD in the truck, and it was playing and everything. But when I went to go drop him off, the CD wouldn't come out. But next thing you know, a couple of days later, the CD popped out on its own.
Okay, when you say it wouldn't come out, did you do anything to try to get it out?
Yes, we tried the eject button.
Other than pressing the eject button, did he do anything else to try to get it out?
No.
Did he stick anything in there to try to get it out?
No.
Are you the one who drove the truck back to your sister?
Yes.
All right, did you stick anything in there to try to get it out?
No, I did not.
So all that happened was that the eject button didn't work to eject it. What kind of CD was it?
It was just a club CD.
What does that mean?
A CD with music on it.
That he had made?
No, someone else made it for him.
Okay. So, Ms. Kimmy Mickens, how old is the car?
It's 14 years old.
How old is the CD player in it? Is it the original?
Yes.
All right. What do you believe your sister did wrong to break the CD, or that she let her boyfriend do that broke the CD, as opposed to that maybe that was the end of its life, unfortunately for her, while it was, while she was borrowing the truck. But how does putting in a CD break a CD player?
When I tried to get it out, it was making noise.
No, I have no. I do not disagree with. Let's take at absolute face value that it's broken. I'm going to agree with you that it's broken. But what actions did she do that caused it to break? She or her friend do that caused it to break? If all they did was put in a CD, a homemade CD, you're supposed to be able to put in homemade CDs.
Well, when I put my original CD in there, I never had a problem.
Putting in a homemade CD won't break a CD player. I can cut a CD at my computer and put it in my car. There shouldn't be a problem with that. None. There shouldn't be any problem with that. What do you think they did wrong that would cause that to happen? You think it has something to do with the CD that they put in?
I believe so.
Just because of the timing, no other evidence, just the timing.
Maybe he inserted it wrong, incorrectly.
It's not a lot of ways to insert a CD. There's like a little envelope-like hole, and it's a little thin thing, and you just put it in. There's not a whole lot to do. Tell me about the tires. How did she wreck your tires?
She driving on the sidewalk, driving my truck on the sidewalk to help get her stuff closer to my truck.
So did that actually damage the tires, or what are you saying?
No, it scuffed the tires, and I sent pictures of it.
It scuffed the tires?
My tires, yes.
Meaning what, that with some Armor All it would come out?
That's what she said, but it didn't. She told me to use Armor All and it'll come out.
Right.
That didn't work.
Okay, so what should I be looking at in this picture?
The brown marks.
Okay.
Those are the scuff marks on my tires.
When were these pictures taken?
I've taken them in the month of July.
How old are these tires?
They're brand new tires.
They don't look like brand new tires. They're separating.
I got them tires done April the 30th of 2019.
I'm seeing here how this looks like it got hit. What's going on here, Ms. Francis? Did you hit this?
No, I did not.
I mean, the tread, it looks very new. It's just this is ripped, right? The tread looks new. The tread is great, but what happened there? Something had to hit it.
I didn't hit anything when driving her truck. I borrowed her truck that one day on
What happened
August
with the tires? What'd you do to the tires? That you said, your answer to her was, oh, use some Armor All. So you must know what she's complaining about. So what happened with the tires?
I brought her truck back the same way that she had given it to me. And during that particular time, I didn't see where her tires were scuffed up or anything.
Okay, so she then says it to you how soon after you give it to her? She says it to you right away.
No, she did not. When I gave her back her truck, she said nothing of the sort. It was a month later.
When was the first time that she complained to you? Because you clearly told her about the CD problem, right?
Right. It's the first time she complained to me was in September of 2019.
Okay. How did she complain to you?
That's when the CD popped out, and she finally told me that the CD came out. I was waiting for her to tell me that the CD came out. She told me that the CD came out. Then later on, she mentions I scrubbed up her tires. I didn't scrub up her tires. I was not on no sidewalk. It was just a straight path where you drive in.
When was the first time, Kimmy, that you told Francis that she scuffed up your tires?
It was in the month of June.
That's when her move was?
Yes.
Okay, well, do you have any professional testimony from a repair guy about what it's going to take? Like, it's kind of, because I got to be honest with you. If all you say she did was, quote, scuff up your tires, then I'm not getting why that doesn't come out. When were these pictures taken, ma'am?
I took them and believe in June.
Of 2019?
Yes.
Okay, so how do I know that that didn't come out with a little Armor All the next car wash?
It did. And I took it to the car wash. It didn't never.
Do you have any
came out.
pictures of it that are after June to show me that?
No, I don't.
Okay. Are you living in the same house?
Yes.
Is the truck there?
Yes.
Are you in the same house right now while this trial's happening?
No. I don't know where she is, but I'm in my house.
Okay. Because that would be pretty funny. Do you ladies literally, Frances, do you two not talk to each other?
We don't talk to each other at all. We've been really good friends. This is my sister, and believe it or not, I love my sister, okay? We have gone places together, chilled together, eateries, and I never had no problem until March 2020 when the pandemic came. She threw me out of the house. She treated me like I was a dog, and I was just like, wow. Slept in my car for a couple of days, and I just let it go. And ever since then, we haven't said a word to each other. Because every time I try to talk to her, she's growling.
What reason did she give you for you having to leave when the pandemic happened?
She said, you got it. She came home from work, and she told me that she wanted me out of her house before she had left for work that day. So I was tending to my father, which is ill, and I said, okay, well, I'm going to leave. Because at first, her and my mother was in agreement. But then when she realized, okay, this is my baby girl, she's throwing my baby girl out. So I slept in my car for like 2 or 3 days. Then my mom came out to get me, and she wanted me to come back in the house because she realized that this was dangerous. And I'm her baby girl. She didn't want me sleeping outside.
And what was the reason she gave for why you had to leave? Had you two had a fight or anything?
No, because I didn't give her rent monies.
So believe it or not, it's not really about the tires and the CD.
After all that.
Who knew? These things among family are always way better when the family can resolve them among themselves. Because once you come to court, then all the traditional rules apply. Doesn't matter what someone said they do, doesn't matter. You know, what matters is just what is the evidence in front of me. Regarding the CD player, I don't have any evidence that they broke the CD versus that the CD broke, you know, when they inserted a CD the way you're supposed to insert a CD. Imagine if you were renting from a landlord and the stove stopped working. And then the landlord says, well, you have to buy a new stove. You say, no, I don't. The stove stopped working. I was using the stove the way it's supposed to be used. I didn't do anything different. I didn't jump up and down on it, hit it with a bat. The stove just stopped working. It's your job, you know, like you're responsible for the care and maintenance of the stove. So you have a CD player that's 14 something, whatever those years were old. And I think the thing just, you know, stopped working because it stopped working. You know, so there's nothing in the evidence that would lead me to order her to pay you for the CDs. Now let's talk about the tires. I need to know what's actually wrong with the tires other than they're smudgy. I mean, you know, do you have any evidence that she actually damaged your tire?
I saw my truck being on the sidewalk. Getting up on the sidewalk.
Other than the aesthetic look that you don't like, that you say it's ugly, did she damage your tires?
No, it's not damage.
Okay.
You just scuffed them.
Okay. And because my experience with something like that is that it would come out with Armor All. That's why I'm wondering why, you know, how it didn't for you.
I don't know.
Yeah. Based on what I've heard, Kimmy, I cannot rule in your favor on this case. I am ruling in favor of Frances. But let me say something to you, okay. Frances. I strongly suggest that the one person who feels really put out here is Kimmy, and I get why. She loans you something breaks, and you never pay any money towards helping her fix it. According to her, you scuffed her tires. You're living in her house that she co-owns. And she didn't want you there, and that's her house that she co-owns. Your mother does, but honestly, you're causing all kinds of strife with everybody. When are you going to move from there?
I'm looking for a place now.
When did you start looking for a place?
Maybe like a month or two after I moved there.
That was 2 years ago?
Yes. And I'm still looking.
Okay.
Yeah.
How hard are you looking? You can't be looking that hard if you can't find a place in 2 years.
Long time.
If you co-own the place
I'm
with your
still
mother,
searching.
Kimmy, you got to get your mother to understand that this is an untenable situation for you.
I tried. It just.
I mean, I don't think that she should be tossed on her butt to sleep in the car. That's horrible. But I do think that there should be a timeline that's stuck to. Right.
Can I just say this?
Yeah.
First of all, she had no business having her ex-boyfriend in my truck.
Maybe that's true, but that still doesn't prove he broke it. I'm ruling in favor of Ms. Mickens. Ms. Mickens, okay. Life is very short.
Lie.
And I cannot imagine that you should keep this. This may be a gravy train for you. Maybe you're paying very little rent, but don't you want peace in your home? And don't you want your aging parents to have peace in theirs? And I think it's time for you to find another place soon. And I don't know what soon means, but it's sooner than 2 years. You know?
Yes.
And that there should be some deadline where you say, okay, by this date I'm going to be out, and then you should get yourself out by then. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
Verdicts for the defendant.
Okay. God sees it all.
So the defendant, the younger sister, prevails in this case. Kimmy Mickens, the plaintiff, you lost the case. What are you thinking right now?
I'm mad because she's just a liar. I'm just mad.
I think everybody understands that. What more can you do to get her to move out? The judge thinks she ought to go.
Well, if my mother agreed with me, me and my mother, we don't see eye to eye all the time. But if we don't agree on something, then something should be done. I don't want her there. My mother wants her there.
All right. Well, listen, I'm sorry for that. Good luck to you. Frances Mickens, the younger sister, let me ask you, ma'am. The judge thinks you ought to really make some steps to move out. What do you think?
I believe so, because I'm all about peace. And I'm going to start looking again for my own place so they can have the peace of their own. But I just thank God that this is over, that hope she can rest in peace, sleep good at night, and we can move forward with our lives.
Yeah, all right. Well, you got to do that. Okay, listen, you won the case. You don't owe her anything, and that wraps it up, I guess.
Okay, Doug, I want to give you a little lesson on how to protect yourself in situations like this. If you believe that your property was damaged, do not sit on your hands and just wait until you make a claim or notify the other person that they're responsible for the damage. You have to act quickly. If you don't act quickly, then other things could have caused the break. It could have been the defendant. On the other hand, it could have been anyone else in the world as far as the judge knows. You have to link it back to the defendant. And that means as soon as you see something happens to your property, you got to confront the person you think did it. That will protect your rights.
I purchased a 2015 Jeep Patriot in 2018 and had a 5-year payment plan, but the finance accidentally sent me the title to the truck. Do I have a right to discontinue payments and sell the truck?
No, you don't have the right to do that. It's not your money. I love this question because it reminds me of the old Christmas movie, It's a Wonderful Life, where Uncle Billy accidentally gives Old Man Potter the money from the building and loan, like $10,000. He keeps it.
Should have been a deposit.
Right, and it just ruins them practically. But yeah, this kind of stuff happens in the age that we're in today, this electronic age of transferring stuff here and there, and letters going back and forth. And from time to time, banks will or lenders will put money in your account that they didn't really mean to put there.
Yeah, you got to give it back. Otherwise, it's theft, and you get arrested.
Yours.
There's cases like this all the time.
You might win for a few minutes, but in the long run, you're going to get crushed, and you're not going to win. It's not your money.
Right.
And that's going to do it for this session of the People's Court, and we will see you next time.